with Texas Veteran Lawn Service. I have a Craftsman 32cc weed whacker trimmer that belongs to one of my customers, and he said it hasn't been running in who knows how long, was their exact words. And so when I got it, you know, it was just nasty, greasy, oily, smelled like gas, everything. All the fuel lines were so brittle they would just collapse. You just touch them. So I went ahead and bought a new carburetor kit. This is the old carburetor. Of course, it looks clean because I thoroughly cleaned it, and but it needs new gasket stuff. But so on the carburetor kit, I got 2 new gaskets, the fuel bulb, some line, which will give you almost 2 feet of small line, about 2 feet of small line and 2 feet of the large line, and that allows you to go ahead and refeed the lines through your fuel tank here. Now I went ahead and cleaned this out. I've already run it. I just didn't do a video on it. And actually, I'm glad I'm doing it now because I need to trim these lines a little shorter. They're a little long, so they'll end up pinching inside the system here. When you put everything back together, it needs to be a little shorter. So I figured I'd go ahead and make a video. Alright, so on your carburetor here, you have 2 outlets. You have a big one and a small one, okay? And then your primer bulb, you got 2, and then of course your tank, you got 2. So on your fuel tank, for this system, your small line is going to go in there, and it's connected to your filter. You have a fuel filter inside here, and that's going to go into the carburetor. This big one here is just an air for just return fuel, a little bit of air to allow this primer bulb to work and whatnot, and just kind of throughout the system, whatever's excess will just bleed right back into there. Alright, so on your carburetor here, you know, here you have one outlet is a little bit bigger than the other one, so that kind of helps you out. It tells you, you know, which one's going to go where. So this bigger fuel line goes here, and the smaller one goes there. So remember, every system is a little different. So if you don't know, you know, which tubes go on which inlet and outlet and stuff, and you know, that's all right. You know, you can just go online and look it up, and it'll tell you, or you can find it. Look up that model number, or even a lot of these 2-cycle engines. They have a lot of the carburetors on these 2-cycle engines. A lot of times are the same configuration as a lot of different brands. So just look that up, and you'll be surprised. I think this configuration covered like 15 different trimmers of 3 different brands. I thought that was crazy, but anyway, so you're going to have on your carburetor, let's get all that out, all that guy out there. I mean, this thing was really nasty. I should have filmed while I was getting it cleaned up, but the owner really thought that I wasn't going to be able to get it going, and he's just like, wow, dude, I'm impressed. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is you got your gaskets, you got your new carburetor. Go ahead and put your primer bulb in there, and you want to just look how everything is configured on here. So this guy is going to be, let's see here, it's going to be up like that. Alright, so it's going to be in that upward position. So the fuel from your fuel tank is going to go right into the top. That's going to start feeding the carburetor, okay? And then from there it's going to go out. Out goes into here, and then in the bigger, or actually into the bigger one is going to go into the opposite one. So every system's a little different, and I believe I got that right. So we're going to go ahead and put these guys on here. Let's see here. This fuel tank's probably going to start leaking, so we're going to need to put something in here to plug them up. Actually, we can go ahead and dump that fuel just so we can do what we need to do without having to worry about plugging anything. We'll just dump it in here into this oil pan. There you go. And then we'll pour it right back in. We got a little spout in here. This is the oil pan I use for, actually I just bought it, I hadn't even used it yet, so that'll be alright. So once we get this guy on here, then we're going to go ahead and look at putting one of these trimmer lines on, or trimmer heads on, trimmer line heads on, bump heads. I use the Husqvarna T35 trimmer head on all of my trimmers. I don't care what brand of trimmer it is, it's just really the best kind. You can feed it a lot faster. We'll cover that here in a little bit. Alright, so we're going to put this guy back on. Put these screws are already in. Get this guy out of the way. Now sometimes your little throttle linkage may be in the way, so just make sure it doesn't pinch up there when you're tightening these screws. I did that yesterday and I had to back it out a little bit because it got stuck up in there. These are just Allen key screws. Just kind of set in there. Hand tight is all you need. There you go. Alright. Yeah, as you can see here, these lines are kind of long. So we can get you guys a little bit closer here. There you go. So these lines are a little long, so we're going to, let's see here, get this set up here. So I'm thinking we can go ahead and go short. See this little pinch? That's where it was pinching earlier. So we're going to go just past that. Right there. This guy we're going to do a little longer, or a little shorter, I mean, sorry. Let's see here, we can get this guy to cut. There we go, alright. Okay, so the small fuel line, which has the filter, is going to go directly into the carburetor on the top. Okay, as you see there, this is, remember this carburetor is going to be like this. This is the up position, so it's going to be facing this way. So this is the up. You want the fuel to drop into the carburetor. And sometimes these are a pain to put on. You just gotta work it in there. Now having some carburetor cleaner or seam foam is real good. You see we're gonna need to cut that off a little bit more too, right there. Let's cut that off here. Make that a little bit shorter. You know, when you order this line, I mean, the stuff is so cheap. You can order it by the spool, you know, and just however much you need, just cut out, pull it out, and that's what you get. That's what you use. Alright, so that one's set there. Okay, so now that's going to go in there. That's going to be perfect. As you can see here, there is no binding. That's the line right there. No bindings. That's perfect. So we'll get that. We'll go ahead and get these other pieces going here. Okay, so we need to do our primer. Where's our tubes that we just had? Oh, here they are. Alright. Okay, so our primer is going to be pushed up here at the top, like this, at the top, because as we're pushing here, it's gonna go into here, and then when we release, it's actually we're pushing it here, and it's gonna push into the small one, and then makes the cycle and on through. So we just need a little guy, maybe something like this, maybe. Alright. So now this is going to be a pretty tight little squeeze here, so we're trying to get from here to this spot right there. Pretty tight squeeze, but tell you what, we can take the carburetor out. That'll give us a little bit more room. You know, it doesn't hurt to hit a little bit of carburetor cleaner on those little nipples in there, because in that way you might slide on a little easier. Screwdriver might be able to push it down. You want to be careful not to push too hard, you'll break that nipple on there. Needs to be a little more on there. Let's see here. I wish I had a flathead screwdriver. I thought I had one. There's one. Just want to make sure we don't cut the line. All we're doing is trying to push that on there a little further. Now, over time, it'll get a little tighter fitting around that because it'll shrink, the heat will get to it, and it'll settle in, and you know, and it'll be okay. All right. Okay, so now let's put this carburetor guy in here. Let's see here. Oh, there we are. Okay, so now let's get him in here. As you can see here, we're trying to get that fitting in there. Just got to be patient with these motors or these engines, these carburetors, and when you're trying to work on them, it's easy to get frustrated, lose your patience. All right, we got that in there. So you see now everything looks like it's proportioned like it should be. Before I just had really way too much on there. Alright, so now we need to put our gaskets on. Okay, so comes the kit that I got. There's different kinds of kits you can get kits without gaskets, ones with gaskets, so there's a lot of different options. I went on Amazon, I started there, and you can get some on eBay, and then there's different small engine shops online that you can buy all that stuff from. And that makes it readily available. I got it within a couple of days. I think I spent $16 for everything. Alright, so as you can see here, that doesn't look like it goes. Flip this over. That doesn't go. We'll get it right here in a minute. There we go. That's the money maker. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to put our screws through here as soon as we get this guy through and try to catch that gasket right in there, and then that carburetor. There we go. And then same thing for the other side. Uh-oh. Whoops. Just gotta be patient, just gotta work it. There we go. Alright, so then we got one more gasket. We got this gasket right here, this little oval one. It's gonna go on this side. You can see there, and then it's going to go right up there around that green little rubber gasket. Okay. Alright. Alright, take our little Allen wrench here, Allen key. Alright, tightens up. Doesn't have to be super tight. We just want to do hand tight is all we need. Alright, now one more little thing we need to connect. See that right there? That little guy we need to connect right here. And that's our little throttle. So see that move? Oops. See how it pulls out? That's our throttle, and we need to connect it on this little jewel right there. Just got to work it and get it in there. I think last time I had this cover off, but we're going to try to do it with it on there. It's got some flexible cable, so it might be able to, almost got it. Might be able to get it in there without having to take that cover off. Alright, we can get it in there. Well, actually, I think it was the... Oh, it was the last one we were needing to get it into. Whoops, sorry. It was that last one down there we need to get it into. So we will undo this just a little bit. Give us a little bit of room to play with. There was any tool or instrument I wish I had. I wish I had those, can't think of the name, but a lot of mechanics have them. It's called forceps, I believe. And I just don't have it in, but I wish I did. Alright, so now we got that on there. Alright. Now we got to put our little gasket back on. Alright, let's put it all back together. Ooh, what a task. You know, I don't normally repair small engines for customers. I'm not in that type of business. I do just a lawn service and landscaping and, you know, things of that nature. Not into lawn repair, but into lawn equipment repair. However, he was telling me, you know, how he lost his job and they're doing everything they can. There we go. Nice, so check that out. See how that works? Doing everything they can to keep paying me to do their lawn. So he says, man, I have, you know, this lawnmower and this trimmer that I've had for a while, and you know, I can't seem to get it to work. Now this kit also came with an air filter here, so you can cut it out, you know, whatever you want to do. I just shove it right there, no big deal. Put it on here, and that's done. And wipe everything down. Alright, anyway, so I told him, you know, and he wanted his son to start mowing the grass, and they have this trimmer and this mower that they can't get to work. And so I got the mower, I got that working in, you know, an afternoon or so. It just needed a carburetor cleaned. I dropped the carburetor and wiped down the engine real good. Changed the oil, sharpened the blade, cleaned the carburetor, put it back on, and it started right up. Mowed my grass, and it's great. It's like, and actually the mower is like brand new anyways. They just neglected it over the winter time, and that's what the guy told me. So, you know, you can't do those kinds of things because these machines will not work. Alright, so I told him, I said, you know what, his name's Brad. I said, I'll get it running for you, and I'll get it running for you, and that way you can have your son do the work. And he said, that's exactly what I was wanting to do. I was wanting to pay my son $15 to mow and trim the yard. And I said, well, I'll be glad to help you out. And I've been cutting their grass for a long time, and they're members of my church. And so, you know, I have enough customers where, you know, that I don't really need, you know, I'm not going to be hurting because I lost one yard. So, my opinion, I think I was doing more good doing it this way. And I said, man, just let me cut your yard for a couple of weeks and just continue to pay me like you normally do, and I'll use that money to put into these machines to get working. Now, the lawnmower, I didn't spend any money. None. 45 an hour and I was done. It was ready to roll. This guy just had the carburetor tune-up, new carburetor, fuel lines, fuel bulb, and air filter, and that was it. 16 bucks, it's ready to go. Plus, I'm going to put one of these trimmer heads on it. I don't know which one's going to fit. I don't think this one works, but the Shakespeare covers all these different brands here, and Craftsman's one of them. So And then the other one I'm going to put on my new Echo Pro Extreme, because I don't like the feed system they have on that. It takes too long. It's a headache. With the Husqvarna T35 trimmer head, in less than 1 minute, you're ready to go. So, alright, so we got this guy put on. Okay. We're going to go ahead and prime the fuel bulb. There's no fuel in there now. There we go. Got to tilt it back a little bit. Depends where the filter is in there to get everything in the hole for the other line. Nice and primed up. Alright, so to the start is in the up position. Okay. We have an on-off switch. We got that. Sure, I got everything here. Maybe try on. Oh, you know what? I wonder if I need to switch the lines on the fuel bulb. I bet that's what I need to do. Alright. So I'm actually glad. Oh, we got a whole bunch of fuel here. Yeah. See, so we got this leak here, which we did not have before. So whenever you encounter, you know, it's not starting, chances are you probably put the lines on in the wrong order, which is fine. You know, nothing, you know, nobody's perfect. So we got a lot of fuel there. Wow, jeez. All right, so let's go ahead and let's see here. Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay, I know what we did. I know what we did. We did get the lines backwards. And that's going to happen when you're working on these engines or anything for that matter. And when it does, it can be a little frustrating, but just kind of start over and get it right. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're actually going to switch this line that's going to go here, and that line is going to go there. I can see we're not pumping here. Actually, we're just going to adjust. Actually, on the primer bulb is all we're going to adjust here. Everything else I think is okay. So on the primer bulb is what we're going to adjust. Talk about tight squeeze here. It or not. Go ahead and start this and we'll find out. We'll know within a couple pulls if we got it right this time. And that's okay if you get it wrong. These systems are so easy to get confused. You know what may be this way on this system is going to be different than on the next system. Alright. Alright, so that did, we had it backwards. Alright, so our little cable here, as we were messing around with the carburetor, came off, so we need to put this guy back on. It's going to be a task. Now, all that smoke, you know, is all going to be deposits from, you know, left over from all that type of, you know, I don't know how it was. I don't know how this system was, you know, treated when Brad had it, or he bought it brand new. But you know, sometimes homeowners, well, and businesses too, you know, don't want to treat equipment right. So it just depends. Back the carburetor off just a little bit to get to that spot. It's not quite long enough. But now we know what we got going on. So that is great. Good news. Alright. We'll put that head on there and get it going. There we are. Marvelous. Good, good, good. Okay. You can see here, we are in there. That part right there is what we got in. Oh, we need to have, see how that line right up in there, it needs to go up over that little section here. Yeah. So it keeps that roundness about it. There you go. Okay, as you can see now here, we went right up over that little loop, keeps that half moon shape, and then we're able to get that going. Alright, so let's fire this up again. See how everything is. Yeah, make sure we don't have any leaks here. Okay, so from all the white smoke, it needs to be run. There's no leaks anywhere. You can tell it's leaking. It's not leaking oil in there. I think what it is it's just finally pushing out all of the junk that's been sitting in there. So we're going to put some more fuel in here, and then after we get this shaft put on, then we're going to go ahead and use it in the yard. And we put some seafoam in here. I'm probably going to put a little more, and we want it to run through that system and get down into those fuel deposits that are